The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Whatcom Fire District 7, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34803. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver side frame rail. You'll also find perimeter lighting downward facing. As we move up onto the bumper extension, you'll also find, just on a slight angle, emergency warning lights. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find a driver side and passenger side air horn. Moving directly in the center, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. As we move up onto the top of the bumper extension, on the passenger side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find 2 tow hooks, top mounted. Moving to the very center, you'll find a tubbed storage location. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find a swivel discharge. Moving up onto the front of the cab face, you'll find a clearance light and turn indicator. Just inside of that location, you'll find your headlight structure housing a low and high beam headlight. Moving up from that location, you'll find forward-facing emergency warning lights. As we move to the windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving to the outer edges, you'll find your mirror housing a flat mirror and a convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance lights. Moving directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within the light bar in the center is your opticom. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, starting with the mechanical siren, and then also in the very center, the tubbed storage for your hose front bumper load. Let's move around now to the side of the vehicle. We'll identify a few things within the cab area first. Let's start first with the wheel axle. You'll find a sight gauge located in the center axle. As we move to the very front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving into the step area of the driver's space, you'll find your air inlet. Moving up onto the cab face, this is the clearance light for the side. Moving to the door handles, you have easily accessible gloved hand door handles with keyed locks. We also have 2 grab handles, one at each door, for getting in and out of the cab. As we move just to the rear of the front door, you'll find your auto eject plug, and right next to it, you'll find an emergency warning light. As we move all the way up to the very top of the vehicle, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. And then as we move to the very rear section of the cab, on the cab wall, you'll find a water level indicator. Let's take a look at some close-ups of those items. First, starting with the air inlet. Once again, this was in the driver's step well. As we move just over the front tire, you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is a 20 amp auto eject plug. We'll now move to the pump panel area. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner first. We have a through compartment on the pan door located in the upper left corner. Let's move now and identify a few items within the pump panel area. First, starting at the very top, I've got a warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of hose lines, there's the possibility of entanglement. We also have 2 release for a drop down to gain access behind the pump panel. As we move to the left, you'll find a fuel gauge and then also a water temperature gauge. Moving to the center, you'll find your pump intake located on the left-hand side. As we move to the right side gauge, you'll find your pump discharge. These are your 2 master gauges at the very top of the pump panel. As we move in between them, you'll find an audible alarm. The inner and outer bezel does allow it to dampen the sound to decrease or increase the volume level. Moving just beneath that, you'll find your vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They are currently plugged. Let's take a look at your throttle pressure governor. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll find a check engine light. If illuminating, it would be yellow in color. In the very center, you'll find your RPM, which is a digital readout.
If illuminated, you'd find a stop engine. It would be red in color. As we move down to the menu button, which is orange on the left, you'll also find diagnostic engine information across the very center area. Moving to the right side, you'll find a red silence button, which will allow you to silence any audible alarms that may be sounding associated with the pressure throttle governor. Moving down, you'll find two buttons. One is a pressure, the other is RPM or throttle. Those are the two modes for the operation. In the center, you'll find a digital readout, and then moving to the right, you'll find a throttle ready indicator. That will be a green indicator that your pump is in process. Moving down, you'll find a green preset button, which allows you to preset any pressures or throttle position. And down at the bottom, you'll find the throttle, right to increase, left to decrease. If you'd like to go to idle, simply push in the middle. Let's move across and identify a few more of the items within the pump panel area. We'll first start with the driver's rear, passenger rear 1 3/4, and also your deluge. And those are the top gauges at the very top, color-coded and labeled. You'll also find your electronic transfer valve in the lower left corner, along with the passenger side discharge. Moving to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in a few moments when I have a close-up of that item. As we move down, you'll find instructions here for your Husky 3 foam system and also the specifications for that system. To the right, you'll find a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. In the very center, you'll find your deluge discharge. It's a wheel valve. You'll also find the indicator open to close inside the center of that. We also have a water discharge for foam in the upper right-hand corner for that deluge. Reel rewind, that's a push button at the very top. As we move to the right, you'll find your gray section here housing all of your switches. We have a panel light. We also have open and close rear inlet, driver side and passenger side scene lights, and rear scene lights. You'll also find the minimum operation maintenance schedule placard located in the Pierce center area. You have a reel discharge. Moving to the right, you'll also find your OK to pump indicator. It is the green light at the very bottom of the switch panel. Moving to the right, you'll find the driver rear pre-connect water and foam discharge. And moving to the right, you'll find your tank, fill, and recirculating line. Moving all the way to the far right in the image, you'll find your engine cooler. Turn left to open, right to close. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. Those are your test pressures. Located on the far right is going to be the RPM associated with that test pressure. And the left-hand side in the upper left corner will show you the 5-digit job number. Governed speed, 2,400. As we move down, you'll find the front discharge. It is water and foam capable. And then as we move further down, you'll find an additional large diameter discharge. This is on the passenger side. Moving further down, you'll find the driver's side discharge. This is a 2.5-inch discharge. As we move further down, you'll find your foam system. This is the Husky foam system tank B indicator. And then moving to the right, you'll find the control module, which we'll go over in a few moments. As we move down, you'll find your large diameter inlet on the driver's side. Moving further down to the left corner, you'll find a placard regarding the type of pump that you have, which is Watrous. And then moving to the right, you'll find your tank to pump. Moving further to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. Just underneath that, we do have some priming instructions for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs. We also have a warning label here regarding fall injury. Be cautious while climbing on the side of your vehicle. Moving down to the left, we have an air supply valve and air outlet. Moving to the right, you'll find a warning label. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and only after they've received proper training. Just beneath that, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet, which is a 2.5-inch female inlet. Moving to the right, you'll find your electronic transfer valve. This is the override. Moving further to the right, you'll find your main pump drain. And then just down from that location, you'll find the manual pump shift. Let's go back to the Watrous placard first, identify a few items here. The capacity of your pump is 1,750 GPM. Moving back to the right, we do have a couple more items here I'd like to point out. First, starting with your foam system. At the very top, we have a warning label here regarding not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the right, this is the lift and turn latch behind the pan door. This will gain access to where the relief valve is located. This is for your intake. There are instructions on the placard for its operation. As we move further down, you'll also find your foam drain and then also instructions on your foam system. On the back side of the door, there is a placard which matches the yellow handle inside. From this location, let's move down just underneath the driver's side running boards toward the front section of the pump panel. You'll find all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move toward the rear of the vehicle, you'll also find your foam pump discharge drain and also your foam pump intake drain. Let's go ahead and cover a few items within the body of the vehicle. We'll first start with the compartment doors in the open position. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see the yellow control module. This is going to be your light tower on top of the cab of the vehicle. As we move through the rest of the compartments, you'll find pull-out trays, release mechanism on the lower right-hand side. You'll also find SCBA bottle storage location with retaining straps. As we move to the right, just directly over the rear axle, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. And then you will also find all of our fluids for fill for diesel and DEF. Let's first start with the ultra low sulfur diesel. That will be the silver cap, and it's at the bottom area. As we move from this location, we'll drop the cover in the downward position, exposing the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank, which is blue cap in color. As we move to the rear of the vehicle, you'll find LED lighting, dry deck material, and also you'll find adjustable shelving. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus now. At the very rear section, you'll also find downward pointing perimeter lighting. In the very center, you'll find a tow hook. Moving to the outside edges, you'll find emergency light, stop light, turn, and reverse lights. We'll talk a little bit about some of the items when we have a better close-up. These are the two switch locations for controlling your scene lights at the rear and hose bed lights. Moving now to the discharges, you'll find 3 discharges in this section. You'll find a 2.5-inch rear discharge, water and foam capable. To the right, you'll find 2 discharges. These are 1 3/4 inch. Moving to the right, you'll find your rear inlet. Going back up above the discharges, where you'll find the storage location for those pre-connects. On the left is your 2.5. Moving to the right, you'll find the 2 3/4 inch. As we move to the D handle, this will gain access to your ladder storage. Just to the right of that location, you'll find a tank level indicator, and above that, you'll find your traffic advisor. Let's go ahead and take a look at the compartments in the open position. We'll move back to the 2 switches in the cupped area, which is your hose bed lights and also rear scene lights. As we move to the lower compartment, you'll find an adjustable shelf. Let's go back up and look at the close-up of the discharges. First, starting on the left with the driver's rear pre-connect. Once again, 2.5-inch, foam capable. To the right, you'll find the 2 3/4 inch discharges, which are also foam capable. We do have some warning labels down in the lower portion. We have a warning label regarding fall, always climb while facing the vehicle, and then also do not ride on the vehicle when it's in motion. Just a quick look here at the upper section of those pre-connected line storage locations. Let's move now to your ladder storage. We have a 24-foot extension, a 14-foot roof. Above that, you'll find your pike poles and a 10-foot folding. We previously mentioned at the very bottom section your rear inlet. To the right, this is your water level tank indicator, and then above that, you'll find a rear scene light. The next few images, we're going to go up onto the top. We'll identify a few items within this area. First, let's go from the front looking to the rear. You'll find your hose bed doors in the open position. As we move now forward in the dunnage area, you'll find your tank fill location for your main water tank. Let's go ahead and move now to the side of the vehicle. We'll start with the passenger side rear body. Same configuration as the driver's side, 3 compartments. We do have adjustable shelving in the very rear section. LED lighting. As we move just over the rear axle, you'll find an additional storage location, tool board with a D handle, Once the D handle is released, it will open to the open position, allowing it to lock into position. To restore it, simply return the latch to its normal position, allowing that to lock in position. As we move forward, just in front of the rear axle, you'll find two adjustable shelves. I would like to point out this warning label regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. Let's go ahead and move to the pump panel now. We'll start in the upper right-hand corner. This is the through compartment. Next to it, you'll find your reel rewind. As we move downward from this location, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge on the passenger side. Moving just to the left, the American flag eagle is going to be large diameter pump intake on the passenger side. As we move to the right, you'll find the green large diameter pump discharge. Moving further to the right, you'll find your cab lift. We'll go over that in the next image. As we move down, you'll find your 2.5-inch passenger side auxiliary inlet. As we move to the cab lift module, you'll find caution and danger information on the left. On the right, you'll find your cab lift operating instructions to raise and to lower. We have a switch that's protected for raise and lower and an activate switch on the right-hand side. Remember, when utilizing the cab to the lower position, activate hold for 2 seconds to ensure the cab locks. As we move down just under the side running board, you'll find your drains located, clearly labeled, and color-coded. Now moving to the cab, same configuration as the driver's side. We have at the very top upper left, you have your water level tank indicator. In the upper right, we have a side-facing floodlight. As we move down just over the front axle, you'll find an emergency warning light, side-facing. As we move to the very front bumper extension, you'll also find an additional emergency warning light. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the cab here from the passenger's perspective. This is going to be the rear cab. We do have a grab handle at the hinge area for gaining access in and out. On the passenger side, we do have a roll-up compartment, EMS compartment inside. As we move to the door panel itself, we have all of our safety and warning information here. Let's go ahead and move to the forward section, front area of the officer. Same thing, warning information located on the door panel. As we move inside on the A pillar, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. We'll also find your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, SRS, which is your airbag, and make sure you don't mount any equipment within that area. Down at the foot level, we do have a mechanical siren foot pedal. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off red or white lens lights. And just forward to that location, you'll find all of your switch panels, which house first your air horn and a siren brake. Moving just to the left, you'll find emergency master, driver scene, visor scene, passenger scene, rear scene, and perimeter lights. When you activate any of these switches, the green indicator will illuminate, indicating the switch and light is active. Let's move just to the left of this location, and we'll find our wireless fire comm system. This is the wireless base station. Moving further to the right, just a general view of the upper section, you'll find all of your fire comm headsets. Let's go ahead and now move to the driver's space. First, attached to the door panel, we'll find all of our caution and warning information. As we move just inside of that location, when plugged into shore power, your auto charge lights will continue to illuminate. Just a quick view of those warning and information placards. I'd also like to point out the auto charge here, when plugged in, will activate, indicating your status. As you move to the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this placard, which is the yellow placard manufactured for your department about your vehicle. It has the date of manufacture, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, your VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, and fluid capacity type and fluid type. Let's move now to the front section. This is going to be your siren brake. To the right, you'll find your brake treadle, and further to the right, the accelerator. About the left knee of the operator, you'll find your master battery switch. It's the silver quarter turn. To the right, you'll find a diagnostic port for your engine, transmission, and ABS, and also J1939. Moving down, you'll find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Let's move to the opposite side of the steering column. At the very top, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. Moving further down, you'll find your pump shift. On the left, you'll find instructions from road to pump. On the right, you'll find instructions from pump to road. Simply lift the yellow collar toward the end and slide the mechanism in the downward position for pump position. On the left, you'll find two green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. For exiting the cab, you need both indicators for pump operations. To the right, you'll find your flat mirror and convex mirror controls. Moving to the left, This is the left knee of the operator, or directly in front of the steering wheel, you'll find your ignition and start. To the right, you'll find an EM switch indicating emergency master. This activates or deactivates all of your emergency lights. To the right, you'll find your headlights. Further to the right, a panel switch allowing you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. And then once again, all of our high idle information on the right. Let's go through the front section here. On the left, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temp. On the right side, you'll find your volts, fuel, front air, rear air. In the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's go ahead and move just to the right of this location. Quick view of the items and contents within the right-hand side. We'll start at the very top in the center console with your Whatcom system. Moving further down, we've got a few switches. The red switch is going to be your siren brake for your mechanical siren. Moving to the right, you have a selector switch, either siren or horn, opticom, and your tire chains. Moving further down, you'll find an engine brake on and off, and a setting switch for low, medium, and high. We also have mirror heat, load manager, and a backup override, which will disengage the audible on your backup alarm. Moving downward from this location, we'll find the yellow diamond. This is going to be your pull to apply your system parking brakes and push to release. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. It is a push button with a digital readout. Moving up, you'll find climate control for defrost and heat. Let's go further to the center console where you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker system. We'll go ahead and go overhead of the operator's position, first starting on the left with this yellow placard. Let's start with the height 10 feet 2 inches, length 30 feet 1 inch, a gross vehicle weight rating 45,000 pounds. If you make any changes to your vehicle that may affect any of these, please update this placard. Let's move just to the right. We've got a set of switches here over the operator's head. These are going to be all of your emergency warning lights. Starting on the left with a emergency master switch, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Once again, any of the switches are active, the green light will be illuminating. Further to the right, another switch panel occupying here the driver's scene, visor scene, passenger scene, rear scene, and perimeter lights. Let's move further to the right on the same plane, and we're going to find your traffic advisor. In the upper left, we have the power, high, off, or low. We also have the function and then direction indicator. In the center, you'll find a seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they are in the seat and belted. You'll also find a do not move your apparatus when the light is on. It's indicating you have a compartment or door in the open position. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the officer and driver space, where you'll find those push on and off white lens or red lens. You'll also find your Whatcom headset system, pull for your lanyard for your air horn. Let's move to the driver's rear cab area, where you'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find at the hinge location a red grab handle for getting access in and out of the cab. Quick preview inside the area, you'll find 2 seats on the rear wall. You'll also find a rear-facing seat behind the driver's seat. All of the seats in the rear are SCBA quick packs. Let's look just to the rear of the engine area, where you'll find the inspection location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's go back up onto the top of the truck and identify a few items here. This is with the hose bed in the closed position. You'll also find a trough for your rigid or hard suction hose. As we move to the dunnage area, you'll find your Class B foam fill location. In that Class B fill location, you'll find this warning label: do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. We'll also find the top fill location for your water tank. And then just a quick look here at the rear section of your hose bed. Let's spin around now and take a look forward facing at the cab into the dunnage area, where you'll find your booster line. This is going to be on the driver's side. Look to the very center section, you'll find your master stream device. As we move to the right in the image or passenger side, you'll find your Husky foam system. This is the hydraulic portion of that system. As we move to the very front section, you'll find your light tower. And as we also like to point out, these are some warning labels here. This is a non-walking surface. Be cautious when in this area. Let's go back to the hydraulic system. There is a fill location down in the lower right-hand side. Congratulations, Whatcom Fire District 7, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34803. If you have any questions about your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.